Welcome into another edition of Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta, Tyrese Maxey returns to 76ers practice, and after being tired, he's full go, and he has a very optimistic outlook of this 76ers squad. We'll break it down, all that and more on this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and part of the #1 sports podcast network out there, Locked On Sports. Keith, today we're going to break down Tyrese Maxey addressing the media. We're also going to talk about some positive vibes, not only from Tyrese Maxey, but also Kelly Oubre and Trendon Watford actually taking part in individual drills at the Camden practice facility yesterday. And the New York Knicks make a decision that, well, every heralded NBA Cup champion has to make. And I never thought I'd say this. Thank you, New York Knicks. We'll talk about all that and more in this show today. Now, let's start off with Tyrese Maxey. What have you heard? Obviously, you're up in New York right now for the game tomorrow night. But what have you heard about Tyrese Maxey? What do you read out of Tyrese Maxey from him addressing the media yesterday in terms of energy level and him being back at practice?
I mean, what they're saying is, well, in regards to energy level, I think he's going to be an energetic guy. He is energetic. Now, what they did say is he did look a little fatigued. He did look tired. He looked like a guy who had a week off, right? But the main thing is what they're looking for is, and he's one thing you got to commend him for. Apparently, he watched game film of practice. He watched game film of the last couple games, the way that can help him adapt to the new plays that they're learning. But I think that it's one of those things where Tyrese Maxey gets up and down the court. I mean, let's face it, he leads the league in minutes. So I don't expect him to take a while to get back in shape or whatever. Like I don't even think a guy his age, now maybe he could get tired and get fatigued because of the illness he had, but aside from that, I don't see Tyrese Maxey's being a problem. I like, as far as being out of shape and stuff, like, it sounds crazy to me.
Yeah. In other words, you'd be shocked if there was a minute restriction, right?
Yeah, I would be shocked. All
right, good. We're both on the same page. There. The other thing that he said that I absolutely love, well, first off, just in terms of the fatigue and all that, he said with the illness, he couldn't really like jump up and down and cheer for his team when they were like beating the brakes off the Pacers or coming back on the Hawks. And then obviously that came up small, unfortunately. He said he literally just got tired in doing that. But you're right. I think once he's back on the court, the energy's going, the adrenaline's going, he'll be ready to party. But here's what I really liked, and it kind of points to a new outlook on the team. Before the season, and I know I've made a big deal of this. I know we've talked about this a number of times, and the Sixers even made a promo out of it. But going back to Media Day, Keith, he talked about the expectation for the Sixers and what this team needs to give the fans, what the expectation of this team needs to be no matter who's playing. And in this unfortunate circumstance, who wasn't playing was Tyrese Maxey, the guy that delivered the great quote. But he said in the 2 games that he missed, he sat back, he watched the team, and he said, I was really impressed by what I saw from this team, and I feel like we could be really good. No, really, I feel like we can be really good. He got the chance to take the, 30,000 seat view of the 76ers team without him, and he saw Joel Embiid drop in 39. He saw Paul George play some of the best basketball we've seen him play since joining the Sixers, putting up the new career-high 35 points, dropping in 7 of 10 from beyond the arc, being the defensive leader that he is. And Tyrese Maxey's watching this, and he's got to be thinking along the same note, not only can this happen without me, but imagine what it could be with me. Imagine what it could be with Kelly Oubre healthy, with Trendon Watford healthy, VJ Edgecombe's confidence growing. This team could be even better than even I expected when I was making that quote at the beginning of the season. We could even be better than what I thought. That was kind of the positive vibe and new look I got from Tyrese Maxey. This is what I thought we could do. I know we could do it. Now we can get better.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing is they got to figure out who's going to do what, though. Because it all sounds good on paper, right?
Sure.
Like, for instance, we saw what Paul George did, we saw what Joel Embiid did, and we're seeing what Tyrese Maxey has done throughout the season. So, all of them, like last game, PG had 35 points. The game before that, Embiid had 39. Maxey's averaging 31 points, right? All three of them can't score that many points. So, while it all sounds good and it does give you reason to be optimistic, they got to figure out these roles. You know what I mean? They have to, because and also another thing is, VJ, whenever they're undermanned, VJ Edgecombe has a solid half. And the reason I'm going to say half is because then he doesn't really get the ball after that, right?
Right.
Whenever it is. So to me, the big question is, it's great to be optimistic, but you got to figure out how you're going to weave all this stuff in and what roles guys are going to have.
The other part of it is, for me, I think it's what I always look for is, what's the real, what's the most negative, what's the most positive, and what's the real? Where's the balance in all of it? And I think it's a very real thing to, again, let's go back to the bar that we've talked about mostly with this team, where we've talked about a play-in tournament team by season's end, which is all that matters. Where are you at the season's end? That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about where they could be in the second week in January. We're talking about where they could be at season's end. And I think that's also what Tyrese Maxey is eyeing. How good can they be by the end of the year? And when you do think about these guys and whatever their health situation is going to be by the end of the year, if you just talk about it from a talent perspective, then yeah, to your point, on paper, it's absolutely there. To the other point, how's it going to work? Well, Nick Nurse, you got your work cut out for you. You got a guy in Paul George who has been nothing but the perfect teammate in terms of whatever Tyrese Maxey needs, that's what I'll be. Whatever we need on this team, Tyrese Maxey's team, that's what I'll be. Joel Embiid obviously working his way back into the swing of things and looking like he has taken some nice steps over the last couple of weeks here since he's been back from the 22-day absence. These guys are certainly, I'll use Nick Nurse's words, trending in the right direction. And in terms of figuring it out, who gets the ball, because you're not going to have 3 30-point scorers, that's going to take time. And that's ultimately going to be not only at the feet of the head coach, but it's also going to be the responsibility of Tyrese Maxey, who I think on this team going forward this year and beyond is the guy that is most worthy to have that ball in his hands for the 30-point opportunities more so than anybody else.
I agree with you. He does. But I'm going to say this about this team. I'm still a little bit I'm not going to say on the fence with this team, but I still don't know what to expect from this team. And here's my reason why. So they started off 4-0. After that, they've been a couple games under 500 since, if you take away that 4-0 thing, right? I believe a game below 500. But they play extremely hard, right? And it's also hard because they haven't had a game yet this year, I believe, where they said we got all our players in there. Everybody's active. Everybody who's in the rotation has been active. So to me, it's still a lot of, we're still doing the wait and see. But you are right. The if we're going to talk about what do you say the style of this team is, or the vibe or whatever, it's Tyrese Maxey. He has been that dude. Everybody else is a complimentary player to him, right? Even though they have great games, but you got to realize Tyrese so far is the head of the snake. But to me, it's like I want to say, yeah, I really like it. I really like them. I mean, I think they're going to do great. But then I always come back and but they haven't really defeated a really legit team yet. They played hard. But they haven't. Now, I take that back. They beat the Boston Celtics twice. You got to give them credit for that. But no one thought the Boston was going to be there. They beat Orlando once, but then they got boat raced the last time they played them, right? So it's kind of like one of those things where, to me, it's like I just don't know how good this team is. I think they have the potential to be good, really good, but I just don't know how good they are at this particular time.
Yeah, and then you add to that, and you're right, you add to that, oh, wait, who's going to be available by the time the end of the season would roll around? So that's obviously the big question mark as well. All right, when we come back, let's talk about two of the guys you could be getting back in the not too distant future, guys that took a nice step forward in their injury status yesterday. We'll talk about that more when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. And right now, I wish to tell you about the great people at Robinhood. And if you guys aren't taking advantage of what Robinhood is offering right now, you are missing out. Robinhood is where it's at. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking in on every opportunity, beating your PR, beating it again. Well, how about this? Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, as well as options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies, a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You can expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. That's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Robinhood. And how about Gusto? You guys taking advantage of Gusto? If not, you're missing out. Because let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's not a party. Come on now. That's where Gusto comes in. You take really the stress out of the whole thing with payroll, benefits, and HR, so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is all-in-one, remote-friendly payroll and HR platforms that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place with the hassle, literally without the hassle, or of hidden fees. How about that? That's what it does. Unlimited payroll. Come on now. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. Gusto's automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits save you hours every week. And knowing you can reach certified HR experts anytime gives you the real peace of mind you need. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA for 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months. Free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time. That's Gusto, GUSTO.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget about the Everydayer Club. We hope you guys are taking advantage of this right now. It's a great opportunity, and we do thank you again for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. You're already living your team every day. Now it's time to take it up another level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today. And make sure you guys can get Locked On 76ers with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. That's LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. Click in the link in the show notes below to learn more. Kelly Oubre and Trendon Watford both running individual drills, coming back from their respective injuries. Certainly not the end-all, be-all, Keith, but a nice step in the right direction for both those two injured Sixers.
Yeah, it's not surprising because it was weird though. Like I know that they pinpointed that, and it is something good for them. But they also did that. Well, I shouldn't say individual drills, but what they did is on what day was it when they went to Atlanta? That was Sunday. That was the first time that they both had on-court workouts, and they both were out there shooting. Well, for Kelly, that was Kelly's first time. So Kelly was out there shooting the ball, doing some light shooting. So this is I guess, a step in the right direction. But, it's one of those things where we really can't get hyped up or excited until you see them practice a couple times, right? Then they're on their way back. So, the hope was that, when we say a grade one sprain for Kelly, that's typically 1 to 4 weeks. So the time has already been 4 weeks. So it's need to tell me that it's probably, maybe it's maybe a little bit worse, or they just got to get him back in shape. But you would hope that he would have been back by now if it was just a grade one.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to me. Like, how optimistic can Sixers fans be about getting either one of these guys back in the next week or two?
I don't know. I mean, it depends. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe the next week or two, maybe next week. I mean, not next week, but maybe after that, I could see it. You know what I mean? Because my thing is, until they start really practicing. I mean, think about Paul George. Like, it was one of those things where everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Paul George is practicing." You know what I mean? And then he's not. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's one of those things where you just got to get excited. I mean, you can't get excited because they're not getting overly excited. Like, they don't even want to put a timeline on it, get it out there for fear the person may not get it. So may not reach that milestone.
Yeah, fear of a setback or something.
Yeah, fear of a setback. But as far as like, I don't know, because it's hard to gauge because no one's really talking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do know like it's maybe it was worse than what it could have been, or I mean, no, take that back. It's better than what it could have been because they're out there doing stuff. But at the same time, it's probably not in regards to like a grade 1. It might be a grade 2. Now, it could be, but at the same time, he has to get in shape. But you would think that if it was a grade 1, he would have been practicing.
I got you. Now, unrelated, going down another avenue here, and certainly Kelly Oubre can play the guard position, and certainly Trent Watford can be the point forward facilitator guy we've talked about. But points are points, and guys got to score them. Very simple, very basic. VJ Edgecombe, in the time Tyrese Maxey has been out, has gotten to take a little bit more of a role because they're down essentially. They're facilitator, they're ball handler. Paul George has stepped up nicely. It's great to see what he's done over the last 2 games in terms of that facilitator role, point forward type role, all that stuff. But VJ Edgecombe has really impressed me. And at the same time, Jared McCain has taken a big hit. Now, as amped up as I am about VJ Edgecombe and what he could do for the rest of the season, and of course down the line in his career as well, also has me equally concerned on the other side of the spectrum there with Jared McCain. Given the recent play, and I know I highlighted it a couple times throughout this week already, 18 minutes against the Hawks, 0 points. What are we making, or what should we make of Jared McCain's most recent minutes?
You know what? I'm not really concerned with the 0 points because I know some people may. And the reason being is because you had other people supplying the scoring, right? And sometimes you got to get in where you fit in. And now he played a lot of minutes because Maxey didn't play, other people didn't play. So he was doing certain things. So I really wasn't as alarmed as some people may be, right? But I also do think that, is as Brett Brown used to say, you got horses for courses, right? And unfortunately, as a undersized 2 guard or a combo guard, give them that, it's like right now it just seems like they prefer those long, lanky, athletic guards. And when it comes down to it, unfortunately for Jared McCain, he's not long, he's not lanky, and he's not the most athletic guy on the team. So I feel like a guy like, especially now you got PG back in the fold. So you got PG, you got Grimes, and you have VJ Edgecombe. And then when you look at it, they need somebody who's going to be a ball handler, someone who can run the offense and stuff like that. So I'm not as concerned with the 0 points as most people, just because other people were hot. PG was hot, and he was smart enough to continue to give PG the ball.
All right. Now, on the more positive side of it, that's obviously a positive outlook, a way to look at Jared McCain, and accurate as well. When it comes to VJ Edgecombe, I mean, I've talked a lot about Tyrese Maxey and that 9-game stint the Sixers missed Joel Embiid in Maxey's second season with the Sixers, and how much that helped him mature at a faster rate as an NBA player, because it helped his confidence so much that, I can do this. Even without Joe, I can go out there, I can do this. VJ Edgecombe, in a way, doing it without Tyrese Maxey, even though he still had Paul George and he still had Joel Embiid, he's been the guy that's been more of the guard. He's been a facilitator as well. He's been a ball handler as well. And he scored the points also. How much do you think this little mini stretch here of just 2 games, albeit, but also given the way he started out the season, how much do you think these last 2 games have helped VJ Edgecombe's confidence and kind of being more of a contributor when Maxey does, in fact, start playing again tomorrow night against the Knicks?
It does. It helps out a lot. I mean, when he need be, he can handle the ball. But I also think that the stuff that we're seeing from him, unfortunately, because Doc, I mean, I'm about to call him Brett Brown, then I said Doc, but it's Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
Nick says something about him after the game, and he says, I'm not really focused on him scoring. Like, I want him to do other things. He's going to have ups and downs. He's this and that. He's young. So to me, when you hear stuff like that, it's telling you, like, hey, y'all, I get it. We know that he can play. We know that he can do all these other things. We know he can handle the ball better than what people expected. But at the same time, that's not his goal. That's not his focus, right? We're focused on some other things. And I just want to say this real quick, just to go back at Jared McCain. He did shoot the ball 0 for 5, and I get that. He was 0 for 2 on threes, right? But he finished with a season high 5 assists. He did have 2 steals, right? So, and when we look at these 2 steals, that is his the second most that he's had this season. He had 5 steals one game. So, yes, he didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but he did other things. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Fair enough. When we come back, I want to talk about obviously taking on the Knicks. The Knicks made a decision, like I said earlier, every NBA Cup champion has to make, and I applaud them for this one. And also, just something awesome I saw on the Sixers YouTube channel that I want to share because, man, for the people that love battling over generations, this was classic. It was between Eric Snow and Tyrese Maxey. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers and the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe back after this. And now it's time to talk about Rocket Money. That's right. Rocket Money. You need it. You want it. Ever feel like your money just disappears each month? Happens so fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account are gone. What is going on there? Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. Choose really all of the great options from Rocket Money. Rocket Money finds subscriptions you forgot about and you forgot you were even paying. Seeing all your spending in one place helps you understand through the great Rocket Money dashboard. Having the app find good times to save each month also, it keeps you consistent with your financial goals. We all need that little reminder from time to time, and Rocket Money is right there to remind you. Take control of your finances and cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. rocketmoney.com/lockedon today and take advantage of all Rocket Money has to offer. I personally love how Rocket Money is automatically built for budgets based on spending. You could build a budget based on spending, and it keeps you on track without overthinking it. Rocketmoney.com/lockedonnba. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedonnba. Locked On with rocketmoney.com. So, Keith, I just want to get to this real quick because it was awesome. I assume this is after they had Eric Snow sit in on the broadcast when they were honoring the 2001 team and they're rocking the black jerseys and all that. But it was a film review of Tyrese Maxey's play with Eric Snow sitting next to Tyrese Maxey. And Tyrese Maxey asks Eric Snow, if you played today, how many threes would you shoot per game? Classic question for the era versus era dynamic of the two people having the conversation. E. Snow was like, are you kidding me? Like if I was playing today, it'd be fun. But if I shot that shot, I'd get the glare from Larry Brown. So then they cut to Tyrese Maxey. Eric Snow then goes on to talk about how the mid-range game was really where it was at. That he was always looking for the 14 to 17 footer that he could knock down with consistency, a higher percentage shot and all that. Then it cuts to Tyrese Maxey. I think it was against the Celtics, driving down, shooting an off-balance baseline, not even three, but mid-range shot. And Maxey just he's looking at it and he's like, nice. And Eric Snow goes, worst possible shot you could shoot. Literally, verbatim. to Tyrese Maxey over a Tyrese Maxey highlight. Goes, literally the worst shot you could possibly take. And Maxey's like, see, that's the era talking. He goes, yeah, it's the era talking, but it's also smart basketball. It was like neither side, like both were respectful. And this is on the Sixers YouTube if people want to check it out. And it was great. It was a lot of fun to sit there and watch Eric Snow from his generation, watching Tyrese Maxey of the modern generation, and the two totally different mindsets, and also dealing with Larry Brown if your point guard was going to be shooting that many threes, for instance, in a game. It was a great behind-the-scenes look at both how those mindsets work given their generation.
Yeah, and the best part to me, I saw snippets of it. The best part was when they were talking about when you're wide open. You know, Maxey says you look to see where you are and you back up and hit the three. And Snow says, no, we took a couple steps in. You know what I mean? And then you look at their style of play. Like, you know, Maxey is a point guard, but he's more of like you would say a combo guard. But this is the modern day quote unquote point guard where they go out there and lead and score. I mean, think about it. The top three leading scorers in the league are all point guards. Crazy.
Right. All
point guards. But Eric Snow was a point guard who was basically, okay, you know, I may not get a lot of shots tonight. My job is to make sure that Allen Iverson gets his touches and and stuff like that. So it just tells you how the game has evolved.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. If anyone hasn't watched it yet, it's definitely worth looking up. By the way, I am looking at it now. Wow. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Okay. Eric Snow averaged per game in his career 0.3 three-pointers attempted per game. 0.3.
Right.
That is a little lower than even I assumed, but that's wild. That's absolutely wild considering the modern game. First off, before we get into the Knicks matchup tomorrow night, the New York Knicks announced that they will not be hoisting an NBA Cup championship in Madison Square Garden.
Raise the roof. They're gonna get a standing ovation.
It's been a minute since I've been to Madison Square Garden, Keith. I can't imagine an NBA Cup banner being next to like really anything up there. And I find it amazing that Adam Silver didn't look down the line and say that it was mandatory to raise it, because obviously if you don't raise it, then you're acknowledging what everyone already knows, which is it means nothing. So I never thought I'd say this, but I really appreciate the New York Knicks. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's good for the Knicks to do it. I mean, but here's the thing. Like, it was funny when they won the championship. They were like, the Knicks haven't won any championship of
any kind
since 1973, which is false because they did win the Eastern Conference title the one year when they went and they lost to the Spurs, right? So if you're going to include this, you may have to include they did come out of the East in 1 year. But with that being said, you know what? It's kind of like it's laughable in a way because, you know, you got these teams. I get it, but you got these teams like celebrating this thing like it's something, and it's weird because, you know, you go to these NBA Cup games, and like if your team loses the first game, then afterwards they're like, man, we don't care. But it's the ones who like the only ones who are playing hard to me are the teams that are in the hunt to go to the quarterfinals, right? And then, but aside from that, like people weren't getting amped up for the Sixers like NBA Cup games, right? So like if it's that way, it's kind of like you got, and I'm not saying they were tanking or conceded, but it's kind of like the fans weren't into it. So why are we going to celebrate it? You know, it's just,
yeah.
I don't know. It's something nice to have, but at the same time, it's not the equivalent of me of going to the NBA Finals or at least winning an NBA championship. Like it's not the equivalent.
I'm with you. Or like a retired number, even. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Who's available tomorrow night, Keith? If you had to say right now, who's playing for the Sixers tomorrow night against the Knicks?
You know what? I don't know. It's because it's real iffy, right? It's always
Back
been
to
that
back.
way.
It's the back to back. They have
It's a back
the
to back.
Mavericks.
I mean, so they play the Mavericks the next night. This would be the perfect time to me. If and again, it didn't come out yet. They didn't announce it until it's going to be announced at 5:30. But injury report. I think I would play Embiid tonight, and I would sit Paul George, and then bring Paul George back. But to be honest with you, isn't this going to be a national TV game? It's going to be on NBA Prime, right?
Yeah, Prime TV, yeah.
Prime TV.
Video, yeah.
So typically Prime Video, what they do is they want all the star quality players to play. So if that's the case, then all of a sudden you're going to have both of them playing tonight, which it probably won't happen. And then both of them missing tomorrow night, which isn't going to
tomorrow night against the Knicks.
I mean, I'm sorry,
Saturday.
tomorrow night.
I know you've been traveling, so I know.
Yeah.
But I got you, brother.
Saturday
night.
I'm gonna say Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday. But yeah, so I don't know. But to me, I would think that because you're going to need Embiid against you're going to need him against the Twin Towers that they have in New York, right? You really are.
Yes.
I think it's
malpractice
not to play Embiid against those 2 7-footers.
I want Embiid and Paul George and Tyrese Maxey on the floor Friday night against the Knicks. I want something close to a measuring stick game. I don't give a damn about the Mavericks. I want Sixers, Knicks, best squad you can put out there versus the best squad they can put out there, and have at it, Keith Pompey. That's what I say. That's what I want.
Yeah, we'll see.
I probably won't get it. I probably won't get it, but a man can dream. Keith Pompey, traveling the world. Literally a globetrotter, but right now he's in New York. Sixers, Knicks, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Prime Video, that one going on at MSG, where there will not be an NBA Cup banner. Good times. Then the following night, they're back in South Philly taking on the Mavericks. So how about that? Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta with you. Great to have you along as per usual. This is Locked On 76ers. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. And also, make sure you guys check out the Everydayer Club. I know we're pushing it hard because we want you guys to be able to get part of this great content, and you can get it ad-free as well. LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow. See you then. Bye.
Peace.